you're white, you're wrong in South Africa. You're a land thief. You are a racist. The whole time it's being told, and there is racist white people, plenty of them. You've got many black friends. I think I've got more African black men as friends, as white friends. I'm tired of being told, just because I'm white, I'm a thief. Just because I'm white, I'm wrong in this. I had nothing to do with apartheid. Nothing, nothing, nothing.
Is there anything specific that's happened, Charles, that made you think, I've got to get out of here? I've got to leave?
After the death threats and stuff and my machinery being cut up, and I'm still, after reporting everything to the police, not getting any protection or anything like that. The only thing that's left on my farm is a sign that says mining area. All the fences has been taken off. Boom gates has been broken off.
There are voices out there, including the South African president, who has called you cowards.
Yeah.
You've got other Afrikaners who are saying that you're not refugees, you're opportunists, that you've abandoned the country. What would you say to those people?
I had to leave a 5-bedroom house, which I will lose now because I'm not going to pay for it, behind, my car behind, my dogs behind, my mother behind. It is not, I didn't come here for fun, but my children are safe. I thought we're going to be in a shuttle bus, taken somewhere, and we will start working. All of us that is there, we know we're going to start here from the bottom because we are the new people here. We're going to start from the bottom. Taking advantage of this. We're coming here to make a contribution to the country.
Those people who are being enticed to go to the United States do not fit the definition of a refugee. A refugee is someone who has to leave their country out of fear of political persecution, religious persecution, or economic persecution. And
that's what the United States says they're undergoing in South Africa. That's why they've opened the door for them.
Yes, and they don't fit that bill. They don't fit that description. And I had a conversation with President Trump on the phone, and he said, what's happening down there? And I said, President, what you've been told by those people who are opposed to transformation back home in South Africa is not true. And I added to him, I said, we were well taught by Nelson Mandela and other iconic leaders like Oliver Tambo on how to continue to build a united nation out of the diverse groupings that we have in South Africa. We're the only country on the continent where the colonizers came to stay, and we have never driven them out of our country. So they are staying, and they're making great progress. It's a fringe grouping that does not have a lot of support, that is anti-transformation and anti-change, that would actually prefer to see South Africa going back to apartheid type of policies. And I said to him, I would never do that. I learned at the feet of Nelson Mandela, and we intend to proceed with the implementation of our constitutional architecture. And I thought in my conversation with him early in the morning at 4 o'clock South African time, he understood that. And I said, I'd like to come and meet him so that we can discuss this matter further. So those people who have fled are not being persecuted. They are not being hounded. They are not being treated badly. And they are leaving ostensibly because they don't want to embrace the changes that are taking place in our country in accordance with our Constitution. So we think that the American government has got the wrong end of the stick here, but we'll continue talking to them.
So a face-to-face meeting is coming up. Is Elon Musk invited when you have that face-to-face meeting?
Well, I don't know. They will determine whether Elon Musk is part of it or not. I will go with my own South African delegation.
To back up the claim that there is a white genocide underway in South Africa. Last year, in the first 9 months, there were 19,000 murders of which only 50 took place on farms. And most of the data shows that less than 10% of the murders on farms were of white landowners. The vast majority of those murders were of poor black farm workers. So, there is this narrative. It's not the first time it has been promoted. South African right-wing organizations are very well networked with similar organizations in the US, in Australia, in parts of Europe, and have promoted this idea that white Afrikaners are subject to persecution. As you can see from the images scrolling right now, these are people who are mostly middle class or lower middle class, who have not had their lives directly threatened. It's in many cases, in many senses, what is happening here is an existing privileged group within South Africa is claiming a need for asylum status in the US. It's become the laughingstock of South Africa. Online memes are going mad about it. South Africa is actually the most unequal society in the world, in which the vast majority of the poor who suffer the most violence are black. And so what is being done here is so at odds with reality on the ground. What some observers in South Africa have said is that this has got to do actually with other things. It's got to do with geopolitics. It's got to do with South Africa's role in the BRICS and in the International Court of Justice case on Gaza. And it has to do with the performance of the US, which has closed its borders to many people who are facing violent persecution in their home countries, wars, and so on, and instead privileging a small group of relatively well-off white people from South Africa who are arguing that any move towards transformation constitutes discrimination. So it's most unfortunate. It's making South Africa look bad. But also, I have to say, many South Africans say, if they don't want to be part of a racially integrated society, let them go.
And that is, of course, one of the reasons why we see people leaving the country. Afrikaners, let me be clear, cannot survive as a cultural community in the US or any other country. That is why I'm not leaving. We respect those that want to leave. But we have to make sure that for your children, for my children, we find a future here on the southern tip of Africa. And to do that, we must at least be able to condemn something that is extremely hurtful to Afrikaners, and that is when people chant, kill the boer, kill the farmer.
In that same vein, you are saying that the president of the country should condemn the continued singing of this song. In that same breath, Kali Kriel, you know that this country's constitution, it's celebrated around the world, and it allows for what is called freedom of expression. It allows for freedom of movement, and that's why 49 Afrikaners have left. But you are not willing to be part of that grouping. What would you say to people who will ask of you to condemn this departure of 49 Afrikaners under the guise that they are politically persecuted in South Africa through laws that are racially biased, when we both know the history of this country and the transformation that has to happen? Just very quickly, my question to you is, where would you say black people who are also victims of a gruesome crime in South Africa, where should they go if a group of 49 can go to America running away from very similar circumstances? Where do blacks go?
Well, of course, they can take the hand of friendship we extend to all communities in this country to fight crime. And that is what we